And for our first interview of 2024, let's bring in friend of the show, conservative Congressman Guy Reschenthaler. Congressman, good to see you. One of the consequences of the GOP's failure to stop Democrats is one of Obama's major goals is about to be reached, as his people have run the Biden regime since day one. Iran is racing toward a nuclear weapon. In 2015, Obama admitted to NPR that his nuke deal with the Ayatollah would result in Iran getting nukes. Now we're here. Obama-Biden policies have made this happen. In my mind, this is about as real, Congressman, as it gets. Not only the deadly consequences of Democrat treachery, but the results of GOP timidity. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right, Chris. Remember, this is Obama's third term right here. And if you go back to when Obama was elected, they gave him a Nobel Peace Prize for just being elected. So he spent his entire 2 terms trying to justify that Peace Prize by chasing some kind of fantasy that we were going to have some peace deal with Iran. Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror in the world. And you see this, as you rightfully pointed out just a moment ago, you see that with the Biden administration, Obama's third term, them trying to capitulate and do everything they can to get this fantasy of a deal. Meanwhile, Iran has turned around. They funded the Houthi rebels that are attacking U.S. ships. They're funding Hezbollah. They funded Hamas, which led directly to the attacks on the 7th of October. They're destabilizing the entire region. And at the same time, they're enriching uranium to 60%. Well, you only need to be at 90% to have weapons grade. And as you just said, they have enough uranium that they can make 3 nuclear bombs if they enrich that uranium to 90%, which they're very close to doing. And they've reversed in the last few months their policy of not enriching it, and they're racing toward enriching it to that 90%. And why is this? It's because the Democrats, the extreme Democrats, Joe Biden, they're all weak, they're all feckless, and they'll do anything to capitulate those that hate this country while turning their backs on those nations around the world that support America and our values. And you can see it in how they treat Iran.
Well, in the meantime, it's been nearly a month since Hunter Biden defied a lawful congressional subpoena. For comparison, we put together a little timeline of Steve Bannon's contempt of Congress saga. He was subpoenaed in September, held in contempt in October, and indicted in November. We also know that Peter Navarro was arrested and shackled in the middle of Reagan International Airport for defying a Democrat congressional subpoena. Last month, I asked Congressman Jim Jordan, your colleague, whether Hunter Biden will be held to the same standard as Steve Bannon, Peter Navarro, and that Catholic father, Mark Houck, whose family was terrorized at gunpoint by a rogue FBI. Listen.
Well, we'll see. Once we move through the process that we have to move through in the House. And if we get a majority to vote for the contempt, then we'll see what Attorney General Garland does.
We'll see. So, Congressman, I think just results-based, a lot of Americans believe the Republican Party has accepted the Democrats' 2-tiered justice system. Are they right?
Not all Republicans have accepted that. I certainly have it. And Chris, I used to say it's a two-tier system of criminal justice. I was wrong. It's actually 3 tiers, because you have one for the ruling regime and those that support it. Hunter Biden is a prime example. You have one for conservatives, and you just went through a litany of examples from Manafort to Navarro to the Trump family in general. And then you have, which they're treated horribly, and then you have one for everybody else. So it's a 3-tiered criminal justice system, all dependent on if you support the ruling regime or not. Now, getting back to Hunter Biden, he should be held in contempt. And we should look at doing everything we can do to force the DOJ to bring charges. And if we get it to the point where the DOJ doesn't bring charges, we should look at getting the House Sergeant at Arms to try to compel production. If I was a district judge, Chris, if a witness did not appear in my court, I issued a bench warrant and my constables went out and brought the person before me. And if they couldn't find the person, as soon as that person got stopped for a traffic violation, was going through security, what you name it, it flagged for a warrant and they were brought back before me. I don't understand why I could do that as a magisterial district judge in the South Hills of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Why can't we do that as members of Congress? It's absolutely disgusting. We need to go after the Democrats with the same vigor that they went after us when they were in control. And Chris, if I could just
True.
wrap it up like this. Too often Republicans say that we need to play by a higher standard. We need to play by all these processes, et cetera, and take the high road. No, it's fine to do that if everybody's playing by those same rules. But once the Democrats change the rules, then we have to play by their rules and beat them at those rules. We're not going to win anything if we're fighting with one hand tied behind our back and the Democrats are walking all over us. This has to end, and we need to go after the Biden family.
Might I suggest, if Merrick Garland does not treat Hunter Biden, if a contempt does come down from the Republicans, if he doesn't treat Hunter Biden the same way he treated Peter Navarro, the same way he treated the Houck family, that might be a predicate for an impeachment of Merrick Garland. Last thing, and I've only got 60 seconds here, Congressman.
We should have impeached Ray, Mayorkas, Biden. We should have done that day number one when we took office, but when we took power.
Yeah. A year ago, yeah. The Democrats' illegal immigration campaign has yielded 9 million illegal aliens. Crimes by illegals, as you know, they're through the roof. California is now forcing American taxpayers to pay for illegal aliens' health care. And your colleague, Nicole Maliotakis, told us that the Democrats in New York are copying other Democrat cities by trying to allow illegal aliens to cancel out the votes of American citizens at the ballot box. Every step of the way, this illegality has been funded by Republicans, and polls show trust in government is at historic lows. Now, given the government's, the Republicans and Democrats' control of government, can you blame Americans for distrusting their government?
No, not at all. I mean, the government is failing Americans every single day on multiple fronts. Look, it's just not about just the Democrats trying to use illegal immigrants to vote and dilute legal votes, which, by the way, that's one of the threats to democracy that we see from the Democrats. But it's also about giving tactical control of the southern border to drug cartels. It's also about allowing fentanyl to come into the United States and killing 300 Americans on average every day because of that poor southern border. It's about reckless spending that has led to inflation where your paycheck goes less and less every single month. It's about capitulation and weakness abroad where we're bending over backwards, turning a blind eye to Iran, allowing the Houthi rebels to shoot at our naval vessels, surrendering Afghanistan, not being there for our number one ally, Israel. The list goes on and on, not being clear that we'll come in if the CCP tries to invade the free and independent democratic state of Taiwan. All this is weakness. So the American people should be disgusted of what they're seeing in Washington. And let me just end on this. Washington, D.C., I'm here right now. I can tell you that people in Washington, D.C., they care nothing about the people in flyover country. If you eat breakfast at a Cracker Barrel, if you shop at a Walmart, if you go to church on Sunday, they laugh at you. You're a joke to them. We've got to realize this, and we got to stop playing. We got to stop playing so nice. We got to play by their rules and realize that they're out to undermine us. We've got to meet them with the same vigor that they've met us.
They won't change their behavior unless they meet some consequences. Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.